I'm flying back to Vilnius today to do my next CA exam session, and thanks to multiple flight cancellations and some reroutings, I've now ended up with a 5-leg itinerary that's going to take me until tomorrow evening, so more than 24 hours. So in this video, I'm just going to take you along on my journey of getting back to Lithuania and talk a little bit about how this whole 5-leg trip came about and about traveling during this pandemic in general. After arriving in Frankfurt, I was in a bit of a hurry to get to my new gate, but no matter, since I would be seeing Frankfurt Airport again the next day. But I couldn't just stay there because the quarantine restrictions at the time meant that transfer passengers were only allowed to enter Germany for a maximum of 24 hours. And had I just stayed there, it would have been more than that. I just arrived here in my hotel in Berlin. It was quite a trip so far, actually. The entire flight was checked in Frankfurt to see whether all of the passengers had all the necessary documents and knew about the quarantine restrictions. And my interesting routing didn't cause problems, but it definitely caused a bit of confusion. So that took quite a bit of time, and I also had quite a short time in Frankfurt to catch the next flight here to Berlin. So I was in a bit of a hurry for a second there, but it all worked out in the end. I'm here, and now I'll go sleep for a little bit before heading onwards to Munich tomorrow morning. And I'll also tell you more about how this booking came to be after I've had a little bit of rest. Good night. Good morning from Berlin. Alright, so after this very nice breakfast, I have a little time now to tell you how this booking that I'm flying today and already flew yesterday even came about. So after the other two completely separate itineraries were cancelled by 3 airlines in total, it really got tough to find a new way of getting to Lithuania. The flight search engines spit out maybe 3 or 4 results, and some of them were terrible, like with multiple stays outside the European Union, which nowadays just isn't possible at all. But I did see that Lufthansa still flew to Vilnius, so I knew that I could probably somehow get a routing out with them. However, Lufthansa, on the Saturday that I was planning to fly, only flew one flight to Frankfurt, and it was in the early morning, and the flight to Vilnius leaves from Frankfurt in the evening. So I would have had, I think, almost 12 hours in Frankfurt, and I didn't really want to do that. And additionally, also, the flight was incredibly expensive because the flight to Frankfurt was already almost fully booked. But I found a different option. I saw that if I booked a multi-stop booking on Lufthansa's website, just avoiding this flight, so in my case, I would have flown here via Berlin, I would save around about 300 euros or so. And well, I don't mind flying, so I decided to book that. But, well, of course, the flight got cancelled. So, and because I booked a multi-stop booking, any rebooking was also now going to be via Berlin again. So what ended up happening is, instead of one day flying Vienna, Berlin, Berlin, Frankfurt, Frankfurt, Vilnius, I suddenly had a booking of Vienna, Frankfurt, Frankfurt, Berlin, then the overnight here. And now today I'm going to fly Berlin, Munich, Munich, Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt to Vilnius. And I'll arrive around midnight in Vilnius today, at least if everything goes to plan now. So it's quite a trip, but it portrays that traveling during this pandemic, if you have to travel, can be really tiresome and can be really complicated. But that's the reality now. I have to get back from my exams, so let's go fly again. And the saga continues. I arrived here in Munich around about 2 hours or so ago. And I have a layover of a total 4 hours. And I just received a notification from Lufthansa. And it states that my flight to Vilnius from Frankfurt was delayed until probably tomorrow morning. So my originally 1-day trip is seemingly now turning into a 3-day trip. And on top of that, that also causes some issues because I need a negative COVID test that is no older than 48 hours on entry in Lithuania. And if I arrive tomorrow, it'll be older than 48 hours. So that's the first issue. And yeah, obviously I'll also again need a hotel in Frankfurt. I hope that this time Lufthansa is just going to provide one. I don't have to book it myself and then beg for the money back later. But yeah, it's also very interesting here in Munich. The airport is completely empty and the Lufthansa service desk is also closed, and all they have there is a phone that you can pick up and then you get connected to one of their agents. And yeah, it was quite funny because I contacted them because of my hotel in Berlin already, and a couple of minutes later I was back again because my flight had been changed. And yeah, they basically just told me I have to fly to Frankfurt and then there they'll figure out the rest. But probably Lufthansa is gonna, well, I mean, they have to. Lufthansa has to provide a new COVID test or something. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I ever get back to Lithuania. And what's even worse, the drinks and snacks machine is also broken. So, what an adventure, eh? We'll see what happens next. I just arrived here in Frankfurt again. Been here before, I feel like. And yeah, quite a bit has happened since I was notified of the flight change, and it was all a bit hectic, so I didn't really have any time to film. But basically what happened is that I then tried contacting Lufthansa service desk in Munich, but it was closed and they only had a phone line and they couldn't really help me. They basically said, oh, I should just fly to Frankfurt and then see what happens there. But I did then ask the gate agent also for basically advice, and she said that I should try and get tested in Munich still, so I have a chance of getting the test result, the new COVID test result, before flying to Lithuania. So I ran out the terminal to the other side and tried to get tested there, but the queue was too long, and they also said that the result would probably take around 24 hours or so. So it didn't really help me all that much. So I raced back in through security and just about made the flight to Frankfurt again. So that was quite a bit of action as well. And now here I arrived in Frankfurt and went to the customer service desk, which was actually open here, and discussed the situation with them. And it took quite a long time because they didn't really know what to do either, but they were very, very helpful. And in the end, I got tested at the test center at the airport, and I should get the test result by tomorrow morning. They don't give you any guarantees, really. We decided that I would be rebooked again. I won't be flying tomorrow morning Frankfurt Vilnius, but I will be flying Frankfurt Copenhagen Vilnius, so that I have more time for the test results to arrive. So yeah, I just arrived here at the hotel in Frankfurt, and I'll go and get some sleep before leaving tomorrow morning again. So my 5-leg trip has now turned into a 6-leg trip and 3 days of travel to get from Austria to Lithuania. Crazy times. Good night. Good morning from Frankfurt again. It's fairly early in the morning because I still haven't received my PCR test result, so I'll have to go to the airport a bit earlier to also get a quick test to travel via Copenhagen. Yeah, so I hope that all works out and I finally arrive in Lithuania this afternoon or something. We'll see. But for once, luck was on my side, so I didn't need the quick test after all, because just before I was about to do it, I received my negative PCR test result. Traveling during these times is really different than what we're used to before. I'd say the biggest challenge at the moment is really just finding out all the different travel restrictions and being able to comply with them. That was also the biggest issue when my flight was rebooked again, because neither I nor the people at the customer service desk of Lufthansa really knew what restrictions would apply to me. So it was a bit of guessing and a bit of just hoping for the best, really, and that can just be quite unnerving, because you never really know what's going to happen. And also, of course, another challenge is the very, very slim flight schedule that airlines operate nowadays. It can be a real challenge finding proper routes and flights to take if you really have to go somewhere. So I really hope it's uphill from now, because I still, even now, enjoy traveling and I want to do it again soon with way less restrictions. After almost 48 hours of travel, 6 flights and 2 overnights in Germany, I finally managed to get back to Lithuania.